Hello, everyone. Welcome to this kind of chill how to run chapter 1 and 2 chill chat with the patrons. That being said, let's introduce the rest of the cast. And I'm Robin. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the dungeon mistress for the Radiant Citadel. Kelly.
Hey everybody, I'm Kelly. I'm normally in that chair, and I will be with those upcoming one-shots. I'll tell you a little bit more about them later and why they are going to be a lot of fun. I normally play Dziugas here. Both of us use he and him, although his is definitely bigger because he's the daddy of the group, and I am just me, so which is pretty great. Christine.
Hello, I'm Christine. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the one who asked for a slightly shorter episode today because I go back to work tomorrow after 3 weeks off, and I'm like, fuck this. This sucks. Not that we don't love playing Radiant Citadel. In fact, Robin, do you have your mug?
I do have my mug.
Excellent. It is for this game.
It's for this game.
But I normally play Luna Moonglow, who also uses she, her, and is a human wild magic sorcerer of Phalos background. So she's a little unhuman, maybe. Yeah.
Little birthday gift.
Yeah.
It was very cute.
It's so when you DM, you have something staring at you going, you're not fucking up.
You know, that's smart. That's smart. All right, down to Amy.
Oh, hello, that's me. I am Amy. My pronouns are she, her, they, them. And I usually play Eva, the, what are they? Aetherborn adjacent kind of trickster cleric. And they're usually a lot more gray than I am. So, and they generally use they, them, but we'll take anything because what is gender when you're a magic incarnate, spontaneously generated life form that just burst into existence one day? Right?
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Mood.
Mood. Jen.
Hey, I'm Jen, and I use she, her pronouns. And usually I play Fairx with no last name because she is a changeling from the Feywilds who has had some interesting times and will continue to have some interesting times. But she is a ranger bard. I don't know what the abbreviation for that would be. But
Banger?
I mean, if it's Banger, it also looks like banger, which is accurate.
She's a banger.
So
she's a
so
real
there's
banger.
that. Yeah, she's a real banger. But yeah, I'm very sleepy because I spent most of this weekend in the very, very hot sun, and that makes you sleepy. So
Yeah. And Traz. Right, yes. You're
Cricket.
you're at home. Hope you're healing up well if you're watching this right now. That was just a joke.
You calling Traz a joke?
Traz. No. Only his leg.
Okay.
Thank you again, all you lovely patrons. We've only done like a couple episodes of this. I believe actually it's almost, I guess, been 3 months because I think
Tomorrow.
the Radiant Citadel's dropping tomorrow for Twitch.
Episode 0 is started dropping tomorrow. Yeah.
Episode 0's dropping?
I think so.
I guess we could replay that. It was technically live at Dork X, so everyone technically saw that did, but
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Good.
Okay, episode 1's dropping tomorrow. I gotta edit some stuff.
I mean, we can replay it if we want.
I had an extra week. Oh well. No, it's all good. It's all good. You're right, we did. I was like, oh, this is gonna be easy. Okay, good. I know what I'm doing tomorrow. Gonna adjust my
Sorry about that.
I edited all of the Extra Life stuff in a sprint. So I just finished editing 15 videos the other night, and I'm very sleepy. It's very small edits on those, at least, except for all the clowns.
Fair. And I'm hoping to get you Dork Pod episode 2 this week.
Nice.
So
That
that
means
you have a little bit of time to add shit to it. And
that'll be good, because then more stuff to throw up at the beginning of next month, which will be great. So Robin, this is the first time you've ever done one of these. Do you want somebody to help guide you through some
Yes, please.
some questions?
Yes, please help me. Please
Absolutely.
help me.
All right, so what is your first impression of the Radiant Citadel so far, as a module and as a game? Because I think those are two very distinct things, right? There's you know, the cake mix, and then there's the way the cake turns out. So we'll start with you and then pass it around the group.
Okay. Yeah, so as a module, I definitely think that it's interesting. It has some really great concepts and ideas. I think they have done the classic kind of Wizards of the Coast stuff, where I feel like they are, I mean, they say it's all one session kind of things, and I think to fully get the most out of each chapter, it needs to be multiple sessions. I think there's a lot that's there. I really am enjoying this. Running. First impressions, I love the cultural influences that have been brought from each different chapter for the 2 that we've done so far, and then have been looking at the next chapter. It's very interesting to see these cultural inspirations to draw in. I found that for the first module, having the first chapter being the market, which you were sent to figure out what was going on between these 2 families that had initially stopped fighting after like years of a family blood feud kind of thing. And there was some sabotage going on for both markets, and it later was found out to be one of the hot and spicy brothers who didn't want his brother moving away, and because he was getting married and was going to go be away with his wife, and he wanted to buy up one of the other businesses that was more successful, because he was not confident that he was going to be able to be successful without his brother, because he thought his brother had all the charisma in of the 2 of them. So it was this very kind of interesting plot, and for a first-time DM and a first-time running this, the market was really cool, but also very what's the word I'm looking for? It was very open and very like open world kind of, and it was a bit intimidating to make sure I got you guys to have enough of the clues to actually be able to solve this mystery. Versus the second chapter, I liked running a lot better, because it was a little more straightforward of your classic adventure kind of setup, where it had the problem, the very obvious place you need to go, and some people that along the way can help you, but if not, you can find out the answers really easily. And I found that was I really enjoyed Written in Blood, which was chapter 2. As a first-time DM, I kind of wish that was the first chapter, because it got you into that a little bit of dealing with NPCs and different places, but not as vast as the market was. But I enjoyed them both, and I'm really enjoying the party. You guys are fantastic, and have given some wonderful little plot hooks to kind of weave in behind. And I've been really enjoying it. I find the actual Citadel chapter, and honestly, I wish I would have listened to a couple of videos before I initially I'd done all my prep, but one of them actually suggested having the market be the Citadel, because they don't give you much for NPCs and things to do in the Citadel, and the market has a bunch of places, and
That's a good point, because then there's a callback.
Yeah. No, I was like literally an hour before I was running game, I was watching a review of chapter 1, and I forget who it was, but they said that, and I was like, God damn, that's brilliant. But I've already put all your guys' scenes and things together, and that's genius.
even the cover of the book is a marketplace.
Is Samsung Co Market? Yes, it's the Dinsing Market. Is
that what it's supposed to be?
Yep.
That's so
the
dumb
Dinsing
that
Market.
it's not in the main. I'm so mad now.
It's the Wormling, the Windling. Yeah, my background was taking it out.
Is that what that thing is?
But that's the Windling. Yeah, that's the Windling.
Oh, it's
right
chaos.
There. It's chaos. But yeah, the front cover is literally the Dinsing Market. It's the Thai market. You can see let me turn off my background to replace her for a second. Might get a little ugly with a green screen. But like, oh, the ring light's now doing it. But like the fish, there's the kobold with the fish that was one of the families that you guys had talked to, and it's all very like Thai kind of like inspiration. But this is the Dinsing Market. This is the first episode. Like this is the first chapter that you guys go to.
Yeah, I've been to those markets before.
Not in the
they're
Citadel.
fun.
It's not in the Citadel. I thought that's what the market was in the Citadel. Then you read it and it's like it's a place, and it's like, oh.
The Citadel's kind of useless, like as a location.
It's kind of useless. There's some interesting stuff to go, but it's to kind of flesh out the Citadel. You need to be a little bit more, I think, experienced as a dungeon master, because they kind of give you like very tiny little bits of like information to use. So I actually I listened to that and I was like, yeah, that's really fucking smart. Should have done that. But I'm too prepared for this now. I've figured out the Citadel and my stuff, so it's kind of was like,
we've come too far.
Oh well, we've gone too far. But I would really suggest, if you're looking to run this module, that you have the Dinsing Market be part of the Radiant Citadel, because you will have NPCs that your players have already met and introduced and have already started building a rapport with, and being able to go back and deal with them is a lot less work.
It also makes sense that if you're brand new agents of the Radiant Citadel, they'd ask you to like check something in their own backyard first.
Yep.
Yeah, instead of sending you off to a new place right away, where it's like, yeah, sure, I'll not fuck shit up. Okay.
Yep.
You're letting us off our leash now? Okay, sure, great.
Yeah, normally you let the dog go in the
Be
backyard.
successful and like not cause permanent lasting changes.
Yeah.
But I loved how you pulled my character in, Robin, for immediately out of the Feywild, and just like, hey, you're part of this team now, or we're sticking you in prison. Have fun with that. And I'm like, can I get it? Can I get an introduction to how this works? Nope.
No.
Just don't fuck shit up.
Yeah. And Laura's like, oh yeah, this is Star Trek when I first did it. And then I kind of was like, oh, you guys are all playing like criminals and stuff. Well, I guess this is kind of the Suicide Squad now. So how do we get Christine's character into this? Oh, she just illegally teleports into the Radiant Citadel, which you're not supposed to be allowed to do. Cool. This is great. So it was like, okay, this is going.
Do it though.
I know you didn't, but the city doesn't know that. Only I know that.
I feel like that might be somewhat similar for Eva too, because Eva just burst into existence one day.
Yeah.
And then it's like, how dare you teleport? And it's like, I just came into existence. What are you, what?
You guys are literally illegal aliens on this plane of existence.
I was just born.
I was forcibly deported. I mean, it's what I wanted in the long run, but I was deported out of the Feywild.
God.
But yeah,
Sorry.
no, it was pretty great, and I was definitely like a tone shift on the fly where I was like, yeah, this suits this better for you guys. I think I know how I'm gonna carry on from this point out, which was fantastic. But yeah, does anyone want to jump in about how they're talking about this now, or should I continue on the little list Kelly's given me?
First impressions of the module?
Yeah.
Amy? You were making noises, so.
Oh, I didn't realize I was making noises. Just
That was me, actually.
Was that you? Okay, Amy was moving her mouth and you were making the noises. Congratulations, you're a ventriloquist.
Wow, that's impressive.
I need to see both
I guess
your
my
hands.
first impressions were that there was a lot of, like, I kind of echoing that it was quite sandboxy at first. Like, I didn't quite know where we were meant to go or what we were intended to do, and it just seems interesting. So at least so far that it's okay. This is Radiant Citadel, but you aren't spending that much time at the Radiant Citadel, and it hasn't fleshed it out terribly much. So curious to see what we end up doing with it to make it our own.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's where it's like, okay, Kelly actually recently bought a kind of supplemental that's been crafted on DM's Guild for encounters you can do in the Citadel, because they give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pages of this over 200 page module to the Radiant Citadel, the title. And a lot of that's pictures too. So it's kind of like
You played Mass Effect, just rip that off.
Oh no, actually not. So I've seen memes and all that stuff, so you know.
Wait until the next one's coming with Henry Cavill as Commander Shepard.
What?
Oh, it's been rumored for a while. It's not going to happen. Don't worry. They'll replace him after season 3 with I don't know, Seth Green. Like someone just as. I'd watch that twice as hard.
Seth Green, like in the new like GM commercial that's on TikTok.
He got old and wizened and tough looking.
He got like. I was gonna say.
He looks like he could beat Dr. Evil's ass now.
Yeah, he's got a little daddy, a little bit.
Little daddy.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah. So far, I would say like the first 2 chapters have been interesting. I think they were good intro games to the concept, like decent little like mysteries type thing. Like the first one was a good like little mystery to play with that was a little subversive in that you were initially thinking it's malicious, it's like that sort of thing, but it's actually just like, don't leave me, Nissan type thing. And I think it left a lot of room for like putting some of like the group's stamp on it and like playing with it a bit. So it did leave it relatively open so you could kind of do what you want with it, it seemed like. But it was fun. I would like to see more of the actual Citadel though. And maybe have, because like it's such a guided adventure, like it's got a kind of clear direction to go for each of the little ones that I'm kind of like, I've been trying to express Luna's like lack of awareness of time by just wandering off now and then, which has led to great things. But it's not as easy when the group is all together moving through stuff. So I'm like, I want to express her flaw a little better, but
yeah, it's really true. The I like that kind of as a group outside of game, we have asked Robin for like at least the occasional Citadel episode of just like, can we just have some of these breaks in between these adventures, because it doesn't really give you that in the module, right? But it the adventures are all,
we need a shopping episode.
you know, they're great. And yeah, I had a lot of fun with the first one. Yeah. But yeah, I agree that the beginning was very, very sandboxy, and at least with these ones who are here, I haven't played as much with Traz, and so that's, you know, a little different. But with these ones, we don't do super well with sandboxy. We're like, but where do you want us to go? Like,
I need my motivation. What's my cue?
Yeah, we're on a like game schedule here, and what's happening? But you did real well with that, Robin, of just kind of pushing us along. So
yeah, it's finding that new footing as a DM where it's like, okay, what can I do to guide you in character and out of character that's not like full on just like railroading you guys through this thing, where it's like, I want you to explore and be able to come to the conclusions as your characters, but also, yeah, you need help because you don't, like, I am creating this adventure, so I need to be able to give you information in a way that you can find things out, because it's not going to be necessarily intuitive to a player to like look around the market at the stalls of the people that have been saying their sabotage to find like persimmon peels and to do an investigation check around there. So it's it's that fun thing that I'm learning as a new DM as well, to just kind of find that balance of giving you guys things and knowing when to let you out too is great. Just letting, like, sitting back and letting you guys role play is just, it's the best feeling when you got to take like get take 5 minutes and just like reread some stuff in the module while you guys are RPing, because it's just like,
Right. It's so good. I love that in technocracy. It's so good.
It's like, oh, okay, you can do this for a second. I need a breather.
Yeah.
Just thank you.
Yeah.
I'm just reading
And
the private chat.
yeah, the where was I going with this? Having it sandboxy that early is hard because we barely know our characters at this point. So we're like, we can either go chaos, like if you want chaos, sure, we can give you chaos, or we can follow the adventure.
Well, and it was very difficult for me because I'm playing a character who's like, hey, Robin, should I play the lone wolf? Yeah, do it. I'm like, okay, so obviously I'm going to play the lone wolf who becomes not a lone wolf in like, 2 to 3 episodes after finding a bunch of like chaos gremlins to adopt, right? The Jubilee method.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then
that.
it's like, so I need to spend 1 episode grumpy. But the first episode was literally just going around not doing much. And that's not you, that's the module. It's just you're kind of sandboxing around, you're going and eating stuff. You're kind of just chilling. And it's hard to be gruff and like, I'm the best at what I do,
pulled
kid.
it off.
Oh, but it was, I felt like I was stretching. Episode 2 was great because then you go into it and there's like a quest. It's like, I don't care about these people. But I gotta, there's a problem that I gotta solve type of vibe.
Honestly, the hot pepper contest was great for you.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I feel like in a TV show I'd have that happen. Well, I don't know. I guess that did work out pretty well. I guess so. It did kind of.
You kind of did the bravado thing. You're like, you did do the classic, like, oh, I'm tough.
I'm tough. Wolf.
It's spicy. Why is it so spicy?
Why is it spicy? Yeah, I guess kind of like a big dog that barks really low
like, nom,
and then
nom.
accidentally licks some Tabasco and is like, blah, 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 and then runs around.
Yeah.
And I think both
God.
Luna and Fairx were like, nom nom, spicy
Is
spice,
Dziugas a
yum
husky?
yum.
I feel
he's
like
not
isn't
that.
didn't I have to tap out like immediately on that one? I think Avo just was not capable of it.
I think near the end it was like Fairx and I think Traz. I think Strazar was near the end.
That doesn't
too.
make any sense.
Pretty
That doesn't
rough.
make any sense.
Fighty boy is fighty, or he's paladin. He's paladin.
He's a pal.
He's a pal.
I guess
But
that makes.
it was. Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, I guess that makes sense that Ava and Dziugas would have to tap out because Ava's from like a plane of mist and non-spicy. You're like from the cool mint or cool ranch plane, and that doesn't work. And then Dziugas can taste and smell at hyperhuman levels, so
It's fair. It's real
I
spicy for the boy.
I do have to say that my favorite part of the whole episode for me was just Fairx doing like performance chopping shit.
it wasn't
great.
me getting hit in the
Well,
dick repeatedly.
Well, everyone else is like fighting and having combat. I'm like,
Yeah.
haha, I am performing. This is what I do.
You've heard of shrimp fried rice. Now look at shrimp crush dick. Are you saying a shrimp crushed this dick? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I
That's
think
precisely.
the first episode, while it was very sandboxy, it definitely found my my love for NPC voices. I'm the fucking and the caterpillars, you guys were fucking hilarious with those caterpillars.
Oh my
those
god, that was
caterpillars.
so good.
The best part of that first mystery is that I got chaos out of it. I am so thrilled by this.
Yeah. It's
And
great
yes,
'cause I
yes,
also love
Amy,
doing weird
you did
voices.
cast Sanctuary on Dziugas' crotch after that.
I was trying to remember,
Yeah.
like, wait a second.
Nobody gets in, nobody gets out. Or
We must
Sanctuary.
protect it.
Must protect it.
Because
What's left?
you went to attack the shrimp and then you botched, saying you're gonna punch a shrimp.
It's
in
like
the dick, and
Stalingrad
then
in there.
I rolled a crit on you, on your dick, which I think was very just a satisfying thing. I'll admit, crit on the dick.
You roll with it. You roll with it. You're just like, okay. Your big bad blood hunter getting nut punched by a shrimp in the second episode technically. Woof.
And then I realized that my ranged spell attacks ignore half cover and 3/4 cover. I just jumped on a table and started like shooting them from the table. I'm like, haha.
Yeah, that's great. I do like the idea. I do like the idea that Dziugas is so grumpy and so gruff because all of this bullshit keeps happening to him.
He wasn't a werewolf beforehand. That's just his anger management course.
Yeah.
God.
He tried to become a werewolf, but instead he's now just a werewolf.
Yeah.
He wanted to be a merchant so he could be a werewolf, and then it just kind of...
Yeah, something with the kerning messed up. I don't know.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah.
What about episode 2? Like, what was your opinion on running episode 2 then, Robin? You said that episode 1 was a little too sandboxy. It was a weird start. Episode 2 ran really well. Was there anything that you changed or would suggest for people running it, or that any opinions you have on it?
So again, depends on how much you want to do work towards your thing, but they give you quite a bit of combat in this second chapter, and they give you one map for the very end for the farmhouse fight. So I would suggest that if your players like having visuals for a map, just to make a simple, just very simple battlefield that you can kind of use for a couple different scenarios, like the market, when the opening scene basically is you guys are in this market, and then you meet these farmers that seem to be possessed. They are, and people are running, and there's another person there helping, but it's kind of like with multiple like bad guys, quote unquote, enemies at the time. I would suggest that if you want to have a like little tiny battle map to be able to help like describe and keep your players on track anyway, I found I should have maybe even done that, just to put on a little like sticky note or something, be able to describe like where 1, 2, and 3 and 4 are, because I had them pretty good in my head, but it could have been a cause for confusion at some point. So definitely, if you like making maps or drawing stuff, there's a couple different things that are lacking in this module for this chapter. But otherwise, the plot is really smooth. They give you a couple NPCs that can either help, and they tell you what they're doing in the background if they don't. Like if you guys didn't accept the wagon from Lady Dre, she would have just followed afterwards because she's interested in the...
Who?
Lady Dre.
The one who gave us the wagon ride.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I forgot about Dre.
Yeah, never forget about Dre.
I never forget about Dre. So if we didn't take Dr. Dre as a wagon,
A wife. Yeah, she would have just followed behind you guys because she's interested. And then if you needed help at the... I skipped over a couple. I skipped over a very not important combat where you guys fall into a sinkhole and you feel some... you deal with some of the hands, which are like have 2 HP and don't really do much. So I was like, this is
hands.
Yeah.
I didn't like them.
I love the
Yeah.
hands.
No,
What are you
they're-
talking about?
They're,
Are
they're
the crawling
great.
claws?
They're pretty creepy.
I always
Yeah,
like
the
hand
menacing
stuff.
claws.
Hand stuff is gross. We're watching Hell's Paradise right now, and there's a lot of hand stuff in recent episodes that's gross. Everyone
Yeah,
watch
I feel
that
like it
show.
could be like if you
Phrasing.
want to stretch it out into more like episodes of it or more sessions, doing some of that could be fun because it'll kind of lead in the creepy a little bit
Yeah.
potentially.
Actually, I was kind of sad that they just used crawling claws in that episode. Because,
Yeah.
like, and especially because a lot of the crawling claws didn't attack you. It seemed like a lot of them didn't seem to attack
None
us.
of them did.
Or was it the zombies that didn't attack us?
It was the zombies.
What was
so
the deal with the zombies?
Specifically, so they're under the control of the whatever
Soul
it's
Shaker.
called, the soul shaker.
Yeah.
And
I didn't read the module. It's just a name you don't forget.
Yeah, you find them in the kitchen of the farmhouse. But
and
if
they're
you
just
do
kinda-
not attack them, if that's the thing is, if you do not attack them, they will not fight back. And
See-
since the soul shaker doesn't know that you're there at the moment, he doesn't activate them to control. But during the fight, it does say that the second that you guys start the fight, he calls them. But it takes 2 rounds for them to get down. And then
Yeah.
once you kill the soul shaker, it drops all.
Man,
control
I like
on
the Soul
the-
Shaker as an enemy. I thought it was creepy as hell. I wish there was more build-up, because crawling claws are... There's so much more you can do than crawling claws. Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
you could have had, like... If I were running it, and you going in, and I wanted to make it a little creepier, I would have other body parts. Besides just the hands. Like, have, like, heads. Have, like, legs that are kicking you out of the shadows.
Yeah.
More legs.
More legs.
More legs. It's
Trash
true.
in here,
One
but,
butt.
You know, legs.
One butt.
One butt, just on a pedestal.
And
was
the
just-
thing about the module that drove me this case, so the chapter was great, but then they bring up the thing that you guys were very curious about is what is going on, because they say, oh yeah, there's this blight that's happening and moving people closer into the rattle versus the
Which blight?
the
Oh, that
main
blight?
area.
It's just the
Yeah.
blight.
It's just the blight. And they give you absolutely no reason, no rhyme, no like even hint of what's going on. Like when I think Strazar was casting like detect good and evil, and
Yeah.
it's like is a celestial fae fiend or anything. It's like it gave me nothing. It gave me nothing for what is actually happening here. Even like I looked all throughout the module, including at the back, they give the God's Breath Gazette, which is all the like little information of the like area, including different like places, but they do not say anything about what's going on in God's Breath and why this land is getting more blighted, and it's been that for like years. So it was like,
Yeah.
I was like, you guys were asking, trying to do stuff for this, and it's
Well,
like,
it's so
I
weird when
don't
they...
know, guys.
It's so weird when modules suggest, like, big fish style things that catch your eye like that, right? They're like, oh, yes, because there's this blight. And you're like, okay, this must be related to the zombies somehow, right? Like, it must be.
Right?
And it's like,
You'd think.
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, no, the zombies are their own
Yeah.
thing. And you're like, don't they have clerics? Like, don't they have... And this
Yeah.
is it's one of the fantasy,
Or
like...
like, don't they have anybody? Because I broke the control with charm
Yeah.
when they attacked me. I charmed them,
Yeah.
and it broke the
Yeah.
other enchantment on them.
Which again, they
Right.
did not say any. They did not give anything about that spell. They gave dispel magic for if things to like get rid of them. So it was, what was it?
Well,
it's the
dispel
same-
magic's not too big of a spell. Like you don't have to be too high of a level
No.
to get that. So conceivably, they should have one person who's like a wise woman or like an elder who can do
something.
some of this shit.
Well, it's like the same thing in Witchlight, where like they just things that they don't think of like that. Like you guys put those shadows to sleep because the shadows had their type turned to Fae, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, so now they're under the banner of sleep. Okay. How do you have a sleeping? Okay, you know what? Sure, that's great. That's great. They walked into this.
Yeah.
Yeah, like something flaming heads and sleep something. I'm not gonna.
Oh
say too
yeah,
much about
like
that,
yeah,
but-
that was right in Dragonlance the other night. You tried putting a flaming skull to
Yeah.
sleep, and I looked it up. I'm like, there's literally nothing in here that says that you can't do that. This is too funny because I just want this giant flaming skull. This giant, it's a normal size flaming skull, just going honk,
Yeah.
honk, shoo, with like little flames coming out of his nose.
But then
Like a
Blog
Mario
looked
enemy.
up the thing, pointed out that it says undead cannot be.
Yeah, but it's fine because I did.
Undead and constructs can be affected.
I didn't do enough HP anyway, so it didn't really matter. But
well, no, it was me. It was Riz with her one time casting sleep that she can do. It was Riz trying to.
But yeah, I was just thinking that like this particular adventure was, you know, it was great. It was a lot of fun to play, especially once we finally kind of got into it. But it definitely felt like it, in almost no gaming group would it be one game. And it really it should be maybe something like 3 or 4, because you could stretch out that sandboxy beginning part, give players an opportunity to explore the Citadel and the actual first market bit and all of that without rushing them to figuring out what's going on necessarily. And then you can also stretch out the creepiness and you can actually like build up that part. And it felt like it was not that we were necessarily rushed, but it did feel like just the adventure itself was meant to be slowed down, basically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I might start looking at that, and because we don't like, nothing is set to replace Citadel, is it, Kelly?
I can't tell you that publicly.
Oh
but
right, yes.
When Citadel ends, it depends if anybody else wants to run a module. I've been trying to like poke a couple people and be like, hey, you want to run a module? I got a couple of options, but I want to run them too. But I also want to play through them, man. I'll be honest, like I don't have any plans for Golden Keys. I would play that. I would run it. I've already built the overlay because I was bored and I had like a background that would work and it looked really good. But it doesn't mean I want to run it. I really want to run through, now that I've played Baldur's Gate 3, I want to play Avernus or Avernus, however you pronounce it. I want to go through that. And I also want to play through or run another copy of, or another version of Waterdeep Dragon Heist. And I would play Curse of Strahd. I don't know if I'd run it again. It's just a little slow.
Yeah.
For streaming, you know?
Well, I have been toying with the idea of wanting to run again. So that is maybe on my list. I might be willing to try Storm King again, regardless of how much I've bitched about it.
It's just, yeah, I think you just have to know
now that I
going
know
in how much
what
you
I'm
have to
in
fix.
for. Yeah, but it would be a thing of having to get back into it and go back over everything and remember. But no, I have been looking up story prompts to see if any gelled with me for the idea of maybe running something for Extra Life to get my hand back in.
There are also, well, there's also
with what we're talking about doing for Extra Life.
There's a ton of other modules from like third parties that are really good, like Odyssey of the Dragon Lords. And the other one that I've really looked at is This Boy, which we actually were part of the Kickstarter for. Like we got paid some money to do a Kickstarter ad for this. Not much, not enough to get the damn book, but something. But like it's a level 1 to 20 book where every episode you gain a level. So it's 20 episodes, 20 levels.
See, but we say that, and then like Radiant Citadel's kind of on that like format, but then the episodes don't be 20 episodes.
I mean, it would probably be 25, but like it's really cool and it's Hawaiian themed. So I would run this. Cool. I might run this in spring if we have free time, enough that it finishes in summer, so that everybody can wear like, you know, you can be a little cold at the beginning of the season, and then by August you're like, whew, I'm really glad that I decided to wear that like a lei and nothing else.
Yeah, I think. But speaking of running, like I'd probably want to wait until I was out of a few more things and not take on any more short run projects before I I tried to run something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are
Christine, something I might suggest to you is it's something you might be interested in looking at running. And I don't know if Kelly has any of the books, but there's a D&D 5e series called Historica Arcanum, which is all historical settings that they've
like
adapted
that.
to D&D rules.
Oh, interesting.
So there's
Is it-
they're just kickstarting one right now that is
That's where I saw
Crusades.
it. That's where I saw
Yes.
it.
It's
It
because I
popped up
told
in
you
my-
about it.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it popped up in my feed too, where because the
Yeah,
like
fair.
Kickstarter knows me. I am a
Yeah.
super
Yeah.
backer on Kickstarter, guys. I am a super backer. I have so many books I have no time to read that I really need to dive more into. I'm gonna go do that after this episode.
but I think I would have to take something like Storm King.
Yeah.
If I was doing something like that, I would have to take it in such a way that we couldn't have too many restrictions on how long it's going to take, because there's a lot of flexibility in it, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But back to just briefly back to this, I think one of the things that is not hard or difficult, but something that's definitely been giving me a lot of like performance anxiety is the all the pronunciations, because it's really amazing, all the like history and cultural settings that they have in here, and they give you some pronunciation guides, but man, in game it is I'll admit it is quite stressful making sure I'm nailing some, like the Samsung Co and the Dinsing Market, the like Thai pronunciation of things is not something an English speaker mouth is necessarily used to forming. So it definitely takes a lot of time to, practice a lot of these things. And the next place that we're going is very like Spanish sounding. It has like you're going to Sintlan. Oh, does it even have an in here? It does not have San Sitlan pronunciations. That's great. But it has a lot of Spanish sounding and taking from that kind of history, a little bit of like Day of the Dead Mexico kind of vibes in this one, which I'm very excited for. But it's a
Yeah.
yes.
If you do want any help with that, I'm happy to
I
dust off my Spanish knowledge and whatnot.
Yeah. So this is So it's really I really like learning and trying to embrace different cultures around the world, but it's definitely a little stressful for running your game. So I definitely would say, like, if you're running this for even like your friends just in a room, it definitely put aside some time when you're prepping to definitely go through the pronunciations and just make sure you're doing respectful to the cultures. There's some really cool stuff here, though. I'm looking at one of the creatures that you guys might fight. It's pretty cute.
Nice.
But it's really cool, and I'm really liking like all the art for this game, and it seems like a lot of, it feels a little bit like, yeah, there might have been a lot of stuff initially, and then the writers maybe had to cut some stuff, because it feels like a lot of the backgrounds for characters that they give you, it's like they give you a ton of background for NPCs that you're like, I don't know how you would normally in any conversation bring out this history for this NPC. So yeah, it's kind of it's a little bit it's interesting. Unless you can see a lot of love was put into this from these writers and authors, but it's like yeah, I don't know how I would convey that information in like a short module span, because it's you're not necessarily getting into deep conversations with Lady J or Kiyama.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what else do you feel about this module, everybody? Like how are you enjoying this so far? It's kind of weird
I-
playing an anthology game like this, I think, but
Mhm.
Yeah.
Jen, what do you think? You were about to toss in.
Well, yeah, I like. It is a bit weird playing an anthology game, but I also like the idea of taking one single party through an anthology game, simply because the amount that our characters can, like, it's not like Candlekeep Mysteries where we had different parties, we had different characters, and
Mhm.
everybody traded out and whatnot. That was fun for its own reasons, but to be able to just plot our characters' growth through this anthology, like I'm really hoping that we're able to push through and continue and eventually get to the end of this, because my character is built for the last adventure. Uh, because I know where it's
love
set.
that.
So so my character is built for that adventure, and it's going to be hilarious. I don't know what the adventure is. I just know where it takes place. So and what it's supposed to involve. But what I was going to say was I really do like the effort that they've put into making all of these various cultural settings, right? Like, yes, it's hard to run sometimes and can be a challenge, but it's good to challenge ourselves, right? Even with the
Oh, yeah.
performance anxiety, I get that too. There's a reason I don't run modules, because I would not have fun with that. I'd like to just have my brain make things up.
Mhm.
And but the different cultures that are presented in the books, and the fact that they went through, I won't say all this trouble, but like they got all of these different artists and authors and whatnot to really make the book authentic. I like that a
Mhm.
lot.
Yeah, no, I think it's really cool, and I think like taking some work to try and with some of your guys' background, and then taking some episodes in the Radiant Citadel to kind of make it feel like there's an interweaving plot in between all this, because it is really cool some of the places you go, and I'm like really looking forward to especially like taking through some of the higher level places. Like it's really cool uh the locations and the creatures that they have in here is just it's very exciting, and I definitely want to get you guys to that well, that last game, because I think it's gonna be fun.
Yeah. Robin, I'm gonna just, I had an idea, and I don't really want to say it here, but I'm
Okay.
gonna send you a message on Facebook about it before I
Sounds
forget.
great. Perfect.
Yeah, it's kind of so far it kind of feels like we're in like a kung fu type of, like the TV show type of vibe, right? Like we show up, we fix a problem, and then I guess Star Trek kind of works too, but
Yeah.
I guess Star Trek probably theoretically is supposed to work, but it does feel more like we're just kind of wandering through these places. It's too bad that we don't have the opportunity to like meet people again. I keep going back to the whatchamacallit, the market.
The Dinsing Market?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, we can, like, if you guys like the market a lot better, I can work it into the plot. Something could happen and they need to move you guys there for some reason. So if that's something that you guys all want, if you like that better, I can definitely make that work. And there's something where like, oh yeah, we're going on a bit of a 2-month break. I can have time to kind of work that in my head and in the story a little bit of why that would be happening, and then we can kind of just like transfer that. So if that's something you guys want, let me know, because I mean the dancing market, outside of just the market, then there's not much in the module to do. Like if you want to go like
Okay,
to
here's
or
a video
something?
game idea. You ready for this?
Okay, let's go.
What if
Listening.
so we go through, we meet NPCs, right? What if you start incorporating a couple of very liked or annoying, good annoying at least, NPCs that like move to the Citadel? Like you recruit NPCs to make the Citadel better. Like, oh, if only we had a spicy taco truck, and then suddenly the
we're
taco truck
recruiting
shows up.
to our home instance.
Yeah, to our home base.
Yes.
Just like in
Yep.
Suikoden or in Metal Gear Solid, or we need the
That could
dog
be
trainer.
good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I can do that, and that again, that gives me, it's less work for improving and remembering.
Well, and they also
NPCs
say
and
in the
making
book
them
that
up.
like NPCs know how to get to the Citadel. There's literally a picture when I was looking for the thumbnail for this episode that's like, this family escapes devastation by teleporting to the Citadel, and it's like, okay, so I guess they'll just let anybody in through the door. Like if you get to the
Yeah,
door.
it's a safe haven. It's a refugee, basically outpost of the different multiverses. Like it's
Well, and you could always keep some of those NPCs and have them move there. They could do something completely different because
yeah.
people change careers, right? So they could be like, yeah, that really didn't work out, so I'm doing this now. But it's still
Well,
the same
like-
face and voice, so you don't have to come up with that as well.
Yeah, and like they actually did that in the supplement that Kelly bought from DM's Guild. So I was looking at the first episode.
I hope
and I
that
won't
thing's
tell you-
good.
It's pretty good. It's more encounters, like a little bit more. It's a little bit more like how you did some encounters for the Strixhaven game, Kelly.
Okay.
So for just different levels. So a little bit longer, but it again not like a full episode's worth. But they did actually. So for the first episode, they give you an NPC from the Dinsing Market to bring back and help of why you're doing this. So this module actually did give you like a tie-in, and rather than being like a random NPC, I was definitely debating having Keiko be that NPC. So we'll have that for next episode.
Well, I enjoyed
eventually.
getting to see Keiko again.
I enjoyed
true.
bringing Keiko back.
I was
It's
just thinking, like, there's what we're saying about how they don't really come back, and like it seems very, well, I'm inferring that it seems very not disjointed, but like there's not a connection between them other than that you're all from the Radiant Citadel and being sent on in these things.
Yeah.
Like, and the fact that the second chapter that we just did, where we don't know anything about like why the land was blighted, we just dealt with this one specific situation. Like
Mhm.
that does open up the possibility for a possible side mission if we go off and decide to, like, or maybe there's another adventuring party that goes off to try and figure out why the heck the land's all blighted or something. But having someone come to the Citadel and be like, hey, can you come and like remember me from this past mission? Hey, I need some help with something, off the books. I just
Yeah.
think that's kind of interesting. You could always tie that in.
Because it won't be in the
Mhm.
book. Nice.
Yeah, I didn't mean to do that, but that's
Yeah, you
perfect.
did.
Yes, I totally
Yeah.
planned to
I
do
mean,
that this entire time.
It also makes sense because like I literally built my character as, you know, an urban bounty hunter mercenary type character who basically
Yeah.
just takes jobs for money, and so, you know, could be approached and like, hey, you and your friends did this thing, can you just like come help me over here? Do
Yeah.
this thing?
My shrimp have gotten loose into the multiverse. Please retrieve them.
Yeah.
Not the shrimp in the multiverse.
Not the shrimp in the multiverse.
Oh no.
Yeah. So okay, that's some good like feedback and yeah, feedback. That's some stuff that I can definitely make better to like enhance the experience and also just make it again tie together, because yeah, this is an anthology. It is meant to potentially just be like a side mission that your like regular like D&D cast do, and all of a sudden, oh yeah, hey, you get pulled into this little thing. So you could definitely like use this module as a supplemental if you ever want to just like do a random weird one shot kind of situation with your group, but this is also a great opportunity where you can just like randomly go to another plane of existence and a place and figure out what's going on at, you know, anywhere from level 1 to 14. Like it's a great option. So
Yeah, if you've always wanted to play something higher level and you're just like not sure how to build a campaign for that, just use one of the higher level ones in the book and be like, build for this, build level 14 or whatever, right?
yeah. Yeah. So yeah, no, this book is definitely a interesting book, and it's I'm quite enjoying running it, and it has some flaws, but it's really like
Who doesn't?
exactly right. Like it's a WotC
Keanu
module.
Reeves.
What can we expect? It's true. Keanu Reeves is perfect.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are you looking forward to coming up? Is it the next adventure that's really jumping out at you, or?
I mean, this like there's a lot that are coming up. I am looking forward to there's a couple later in the game, kind of in the middle, that are really interesting as well. That just have a very cool setting and some cool like set dressing and creatures, and just what's going on is very, very interesting. So I'm looking forward to the like middle levels. Will be very interesting. And then I'm not nervous, but you know, it'll be interesting to run my like the high level encounters for you guys from the book and see how the high level game goes.
It'll be cool because like what level does it go to?
14.
Jeez.
Yep.
Wow. Shards is just now in episode 14 episode 14.
Level 14.
Like,
yep.
Level 14. What do you think for what do you think the book's the weakest on? Do you think, besides the Citadel portion, do you think it has, like, are people going to need to buy additional map packs for it, or do you think the maps work as described, or do you?
Well, I'll have to look into the other, like,
so far anyway,
modules as we go. I'd say like the first adventure they gave quite a lot of maps, and then the next one they gave one map, and so I found the middle, like chapter 2, very lacking in maps, which is, you know, they gave you a lot of combat and then not a lot of maps to go off of. So other than that, a little bit of you find there's a couple, like, and I think this is with every module, that you run an adventure and they have a couple weird assumptions that they think the PCs will make, and it's just like, I don't see. Okay, sure. But what if they don't, kind of?
Cool.
So it's very interesting for that. But other than that, like, I'd say it's pretty solid, especially for first time. Like, I just have that interesting the first time kind of jitters, but I feel like this is overall not a bad module.
Can I just interject real quick here? Like, is it just me, or does it seem like there's this assumption that DMs just have ready to go battle maps for any given time if it's not a specific set location? Like,
It seems like that.
Just based on the number of different modules that just say, here's an encounter, and you're like, well, I don't have any maps for this. I don't know where anything is. It's just sort of, they just kind of assume you know, or you have something ready.
We're lucky that
I assume that you have the battle map in the front of, like, in the middle of the table kind of thing, where you have that grid ready to go, and you can be like, there's these 4 guys here and you guys are there, kind of thing. So I think they assume that. Sure. But it's not the case for
so
online.
We are really lucky that as streamers, there's this person, Tessa Maps, over on the DMs Guild, provides free module maps So a lot of the ones
Oh.
I've used for Dragonlance have been from Tessa, and they're free for streamers because it's just this, it's reciprocal, you know, they get advertised, you know, and I get maps because, my God, the number of little side adventures where it's like, ah, yes, and then you have a chance of fighting these draconians in the alley behind the pub, you know? Well, I need the alley behind the pub
Yeah.
map. Well, there we go. But you can buy them pretty cheap over on the DM's Guild. And do they have them for Radiant Citadel? I will check that for
I'm
you.
looking right now.
So it's
It's Tessa Core. I found her.
do they have Radiant Citadel?
I'm looking right now.
Okay. Because if so, I'll reach out and we'll get more maps for side stuff. But I strongly encourage you to do that. I also really strongly encourage to go off on a slight tangent. If you're running this at home around a table, this is the perfect game for you to do a little bit of immersion. And I'm not sure if the book talks about this, but if you are living in a city or if you're living anywhere with a decent delivery menu around, this is a great place for you to order Thai food, to order Chinese,
that
to
would be
order like
so good.
different African stuff around the table for certain episodes. Just like try new things and bring in new cultures into your environment, because the book does tell you what things are inspired by, right? Like this is Thai inspired, this is like North African inspired, like they or at least the vibe is pretty obvious.
Yeah, the vibe's pretty obvious. It doesn't outright say, which is why I said the next one looks like it has some Spanish and Mexican influences, but I don't want to say just directly Mexico because it doesn't say.
Well, but if it's Day of the
But
Dead, you can say it probably is. There's a big Mexican like inspiration in there.
Yeah.
But that's Gibby, you can get some great stuff with that, or you can make it yourself at home. You know, it would be absolutely hilarious to run the spice challenge with real like ghost peppers, because you can get habaneros at
that.
Yeah, well,
Yep.
actually, you can get habaneros at the grocery store in cities, and you can probably find ghost
Yeah.
peppers. And that would have been a much different scene because like Dziugas can't take it. Kelly's a spice guy.
I
I
wouldn't
mean, I
have
guess-
touched it.
Oh
Yeah.
man, it's not seeing, but there's a scene that's very Day of the Dead. So this is definitely Mexican kind of inspiration for the next one coming up. But yeah, no, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, and because if you're sitting around a table with like between 4 and 6 friends, ordering food gets a bit cheaper. You know, $20 for probably some take home at the end of that. Especially if you live in a city where you can get that broad, like, because I think like there are some harder ones, like getting like Moroccan food or getting like African or any of that is like a bit harder than getting, you know, Chinese or Thai, because Thai is everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, but it's good to get away from your typical pizza and beer and soda around the table and stuff when everybody can sit and have like a Thai iced tea or a Thai coffee and like play a game and just be like so immersed, because food is so good for that. You can also get like incenses and things like that if people don't have scent allergies, but like food is just the best.
It's true.
So we had a couple questions in the chat right now. Cal had a
Ooh.
question of how do you avoid power creep in modules? So power creep being, of course, the Dragon Ball power creep of, you know, there's always a bigger fish, always a bigger villain. You're becoming, you know, if your characters get strong enough to lift a mountain, then they have to lift a bigger mountain the next episode. And when you're out of mountains, you have to lift planets. When you're out of planets, you have to lift, etc., etc. I find that modules often are built to kind of handle that. Like they're built with an end goal. But it is tricky because a lot of modules are not built to stand up to clever players or to multi-classing, or to combos that you might see like in our Candlekeep Mysteries game. Way played a couple of builds that really broke the modules, because the modules were not expecting someone to be able to give you like a +9, +12, something like that, with Bardic Inspiration and Aid and a bunch of multi-class stacks that he could do to every check. Right? Or that one, there was one in Candlekeep where Krista summoned 32 velociraptors because of a series of feats that she took.
Yeah.
And we didn't even finish the final fight because I was like, there's literally a stampede of summons. This would take us 4 hours to run this combat, and I know I would lose. It's funnier just to call it here, you know, rather than like, oh yes, I destroyed 31 of your summons. So just be careful of that in modules, and know that modules are not modules are cake mixes. Feel free to add some like vanilla, some coffee, more egg, less egg, to like tweak it to your tastes, and be ready to make things a little better. They are better than a lot of modules in the past. Like, they've gotten better, but they are still, they're templates.
Mm-hmm.
And they're fun. Like, I enjoy running modules. I think that they're a good start. But I think some of the most interesting things that have happened in modules have been things that were, I mean, obviously player done, or have been changes that the players have brought around, like the third act betrayal in Rime of the Frost Maiden by Emo Boy, and so on.
It was so good.
It was so good. So sorry, Robin, I took that over being the more experienced DM, and because we're not really.
No, it's fine. I was looking at I was honestly looking for Radiant Citadel maps. None from Tessa, but there's Elizabeth Vancouvering.
I don't know them, but they might be good.
Yeah, they just have. Well, they do separate packs per game, which is interesting, for like $1.
That's pretty reasonable.
So, yeah.
So another question. Looking at this, there were a bunch more questions. Hold on. From random question for the players? Are your characters meeting your expectations? Are there any surprises, or is it too soon to say?
So far, yes.
Well, I know that I just checked Eva's character sheet and was like, oh, I clearly have not been, I maybe need to change some of my personality traits and my flaw, because they don't quite fit the way this character is developing. So I might need to rehash that a little bit. But otherwise, yeah, I've been having fun with it. The fragile as anything with the -1 to constitution checks. Yep, a stiff breeze will shatter her possibly. Yep, it's a good time.
Yeah,
this is true.
I am looking forward to exploring more of the wild magic aspect of it and have a bit more chaos happen around Luna. But overall, I'm enjoying her. I would like to. I think she'll develop more the more RP we have, and turn into a bit more of a character versus a caricature, because she is a bit of a caricature at the moment.
Yeah, we
there's
need our
lots
scene.
of hooks to develop that further, I feel like, and eventually stuff will probably be explored and come out and all that sort of stuff. I need Gary to show up one day.
Gary will show up, don't worry. Gary will show up.
So that will be another hook that'll help expand stuff a little bit more. But I feel like she's a good base. There's a decent base there to work with and expand out like a spider web. Spider web of chaos.
Spider web of chaos.
I think personally pretty good. When we were talking about this game about like, oh, do we do like a downtime episode? Do we do what, etc. I was like, well, what the hell would Dziugas do in his time off that would be interesting? Because he's just he's grumpy old man. Like, what does grumpy old man do? So I think I'm struggling a bit with that, but I think overall really, really good. Like he got kind of like pulled into everything real quick, and I really did like the way that the first Wolf Out played out. I was like, oh, this is going to be, I don't know when I'm going to drop this. I just got this ability. I don't even know if I'm going to do it, because it doesn't seem like I need it. And then it's like, oh, you're possessed. I'm like, all right, done. This is perfect. This first one's it's non-consensual. This is great. He does not want to wolf out, but now he does. and now he tears into Strazar, and Strazar better get his shots.
Yeah,
Right.
Strazar needs his shots.
Yeah. I will say that just makes me think of the whole trying to figure out interesting things for your characters to do during like a downtime episode or time in the Radiant Citadel. It's why I think like that these adventures can be dragged out a little more and there can be more of those downtime episodes, because those are what build character, like the actual
Mhm.
character part of the character. It makes me realize who Fairx is, right? And that's what I think this anthology as a whole, if you're running through it as a single party, it needs. Because otherwise you're just going from adventure to adventure, leveling up and not knowing who these people are.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that playing Baldur's Gate 3 has really reinforced, is how much time you need to chat at camp.
Right?
Right? Like, it's just, yeah, I guess.
We
I
need
guess
to have little exclamation marks so that we know
Yeah,
who to
right?
talk to. There's an
Remember when
important
people
thing
used
we
to
need
have those at
talk about.
cons?
Yes.
I want certain conversations to happen and they're not happening because I'm not far enough along in the plot. God damn it.
Yeah. And I was just thinking, like, similar to Dziugas, like, what does Eva do in the downtime? And I'm like, I don't know.
You want to go hang out with Dziugas? Because you're basically his
Honestly,
little buddy.
They probably would. At this point, Eva would probably
It's
go
like,
seek out whoever they know and is like,
This-
I totally
there's
can't go
this
spend time with those
relationship,
people
and then there's
anymore.
that relationship, basically. And then
Yeah.
Strazar in the corner pouting. We need
Well,
to get
Eva
him
also
into more
finds it very
things.
fun
Strazar and I have a
harassing
bit of a
Strazar.
weird
Yeah.
relationship.
Good cop, good
Yeah.
cop, bad cop, good cop.
Yeah, good cop, bad cop. And he hates
Except-
him. Not really.
Good,
But
Except you're not a cop.
flirty cop. Good cop, flirty, not a cop.
Good cop, not a cop.
And yeah, so Eva's just kind of like your like gremlin who, yeah.
Ooh,
Okay.
gremlins.
So I think with this, and I think like not trying to just get this done like episode at a time. The weirdest part is just trying to make sure that like these adventures seem to be like good for either 1 to 1.5 to 2 episodes kind of thing. So it's like it's trying to figure out the timing for running a game in stream,
Mhm.
and then also getting in the time and not ending off on weird places. So like and that's I think something that I need to learn as a DM a little bit too, is just trying to figure out what to either stretch or flex or shrink to kind of make sure that the flow works, especially for kind of this stream setting in like a once a month game. It doesn't want to seem like, oh yeah, I think I was worried about being like, oh yeah, we have a a non-adventure game, and that's like, is that going to be okay for a once a month game? Because it's like, oh, you do this and maybe nothing like super exciting, quote unquote, happens.
Well, and also
but
you should
like,
feel
if you guys want
comfortable.
that character stuff, then that's different.
Well, and you should
So
feel
I would
comfortable
s-
running as long or as short as you need.
Yeah.
Sorry, Christine, what else are you saying?
What I would just say though, that if you're worried about it not being that exciting, I feel like some of our best episodes in Shards have been the in-between ones. The spa episode, stuff like that, where it's not really necessarily really advancing whatever Kelly's plot line is, but some of the best ones have been those ones where it's kind of just been like in between the big combat arcs, where we've been just being a bit crazy, RPing, learning our characters, and doing a little romp. So I feel like that can be really, really good. And unfortunately for you, that relies on us. So you can give us some hooks, but if we don't vibe with it, then unfortunately there's not much you can do at that point. We'll do our best to seize on it and use it and roll with it. So I think it's an aspect of just rolling with our crazy.
Rolling with the crazy.
have a few things to give us to interact with and let us play with it like a cat with a rattly ball or a feather.
Yeah, I think that's the thing too, is like that worry of being like, okay, this is gonna be a character development episode. Okay, I've got to have some things, but not too much, and just like trust in your chaos. I think. Like,
look up D&D
NP.
5e plot hooks.
Yeah,
and just like I've got like 300 list ones up because I was kind of looking at stuff to give me any ideas for if I wanted to do something for Extra Life. There's lots of like really good little chunks where it could give you that little bit of inspiration of, oh yeah, we could totally just that to gel out from.
Oh, dude, I use those lists all the time for ideas, and then I just change stuff. It's
but
the best.
Also, I feel like that's one thing with this stuff, though, is like, haha, spoilers, Patreon, just tell us. Hey, this is going to be an RP episode. I don't have very much for you to play with. Just play off each other.
Yeah.
Give me some ideas.
Sometimes that happens. Like sometimes it's like, well, I mean, that happens in like the main modules too. Like the ones that I run on Twitch is sometimes you go into it and you're like, okay, we've got a player sick. I don't want to get too far ahead. So this is going to be mostly a shopping episode. We'll probably go straight through with no break. You can always tell if there's not a break by about 9 o'clock, it's probably a shorter episode. Because the max I can expect people not to go to the bathroom is about 3 hours. Sometimes not even then. Sometimes they'll just sneak out in the middle of the game. Fine. But sometimes like life gets in the way, and because we're on a regular schedule and because we're not, Critical Role or, other places where we have a studio and mandatory union breaks. That'd be nice someday. So, you do need that type of structure. And the thing is, the same thing goes, Robin, though, that if we're like 2.5 hours in, and I know this is only once a month, and I hope that no one on Patreon gets offended by me saying this, but if you find the juiciest ending place at 2.5 hours in, and we've budgeted for 4 hours, but the other hour and a half is going to be not the right vibe or not the right mood or is a slog, or if you feel like it would be like 2.5 hours out of 6 hours and the next episode would be the long, cut it. Just like do the thing I do. Damn it, and I think that's where we're going, because you want the groan. You always want the groan from your players.
Yeah.
It's the best feeling,
true.
and the audience groans too, because they want that more. But you need to like leave them on a note where they're just not, oh, that was good. I'm glad that I didn't stick around that last hour. You don't want that. You want them to hate you for it.
Fair.
So if you need to, and always feel free. The other thing is that if you feel like the game is so good that you need to go long, check in with us in the chat, but we can always take 2 breaks. There's nothing that says we can't. Like we can do a 6-hour game if everybody is super keen to do it. I don't think that's going to happen, but I'm just saying.
Not on a
I was
Sunday
going to
night,
say,
but
when I
yes.
work on Monday the next day, probably not.
Probably not, but you never know. Like there are some episodes of
unless we have a
Dragonlance.
long weekend coming up, like if we're doing like next weekend when we have like
Monday
Labor
off.
Day, we have the Monday off, and that's something where you're like, I mean, we could do a 6-hour game kind of thing, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to get up and go get an energy drink, but
Yeah, it's one of those things I'd like to know in advance if we're going to do a super long game so I can prep mentally for it.
Well, that's what I'd try and do too. But yeah, no, definitely.
Nice. Well, Robin, is there anything else that you want to touch on for this?
I don't think so. Like, unless we want to just like have a chill chat with like the chat kind of thing. Like I see everyone talking about Baldur's Gate in the chat.
Everybody's talking about Baldur's Gate. Let's all go play Baldur's Gate.
Right?
Thanks everybody for tuning in. So I can talk about one thing real quick before we go. So there's not going to be any Radiant Citadel for probably 2 months, I think is what it's going to be. So it's not September, not October, and then we'll be back at the end of November. That said, what I'm going to start doing for the $10 tier on Patreon and up is I floated the idea and people seem pretty enthusiastic, but I'm going to have one-shots that are going to be probably about 10 to 12 pages or so worth of one-shot material. And when Robin was talking about going and pausing for harvest, I'm like, well, that's great. I'll run one-shots of the modules that I'm going to be giving to the Patreon, and you'll be able to see it in advance, and then you'll get a written copy of it the following month or that month. I'm going to start off, starting in a couple days, you're going to get the Strixhaven modules, and then when the next Radiant Citadel is going to be, it's going to be a game called The Drinking Problem, which is its working title, and it's going to be real wild. I've already talked to Robin about it, so she knows what it is.
Kelly gave me a preview, and
it's a dumb idea.
Great.
It's what I thought of while I was walking the dog in a mountain, and I'm like, oh, this is dumb as hell. Starting, I guess this Thursday, we're going to have a session 0 for Old Gods of Appalachia, which is a podcast that many of us love that had a game put out by Monty Cook Games. So it is a game set in the our game is set in the 1930s and is going to follow a group of people in probably West Virginia who are dealing with some supernatural occurrences down home. It's going to have a special guest from outside of the channel. One of our good friends is going to be joining us, and it's going to have a couple of people that you really like in it. And I'll be there too. It'll be a lot of fun, and we'll be kind of filling that spooky gap. That one's actually going to be released to the public a bit faster because Halloween's coming, and I want to throw that out.
Yeah, fall spooky is good.
So
fall spooky.
Fall spooky. Episode 0 is going to be this Thursday at 7 p.m. We're going to live stream it, and then we're going to pre-record the other episodes so I can put in spooky sound effects and stuff and do cool stuff.
Yeah, I feel like that's the absolute best way to do it, because then, like, I've seen what you've done with some of the pre-recorded ones, and it's just insane the effects that you lay over and the sounds and all sorts.
Yeah, I got to do the overlays for this stat because I thought I had till Sunday. We were going to run that instead of Technocracy next week because Jen has an event that's not conducive to running. But then
do you want me to talk about Technocracy for a second?
I want you to talk about Technocracy.
Sure, yeah. Okay, so I know we missed the beginning of August because of just life, and I was down 2 players, and it was just kind of like, I don't really want to run this particular game with 2 players. So life happens, and it means that Robin can at least join us for the next episode, which is great. And then I was also needing a little bit of just a brain break of trying to make the next part of the story good, because right, like I was suffering a little bit from that middle. If you write stories or you write novels, you probably understand what I'm talking about, where it's this, like, the middle section. I know where they were starting, I know where I want them to end up. How the fuck do I get them from A to B? And with Technocracy, it's more like A to B to C to D to E to Z, somewhere down there. And yes, Z, because I'm Canadian. But so Technocracy needing a little bit of break. There's I figured I could wrap up the current part that they're in about 1 episode. So instead of doing a double tap in September like we were planning, I'm going to run on September 10th. Yes, the 10th. Yeah,
yes,
because it's the 3rd and then the 10th. So September 10th, I'm going to run because I don't have an event that weekend, whereas I do have an event that's on the mainland, and I'll be coming back on a ferry on the Sunday. And so while I have a reservation and it's probably all going to go smoothly, there's always the chance that something happens with
it's a long weekend, and it's the ferries, and it's the summer with the ferries,
and it's already a disaster.
Insane,
like
so
it's already a mess because some other ferries got anyways, a couple of the ferries have just been mechanically having issues, and so they've been canceling a lot of sailings, and it's the long weekend. Luckily, I'm not coming back on the Monday, so I skip a little bit of that, but still. So that, and then we'll probably be off October and November because of Extra Life being right at the beginning, plus whenever Robin's done harvest season. So chances are we'll be back at the beginning of December, but we can talk about that closer too. As we figure out how things are going. So that's the plan for Technocracy anyway.
And
so
then
if you see me with very minimal makeup on either games like Strixhaven on Patreon or Dragonlance. Yeah, my schedule are 60 hours a week. Is 60 hours a week minimum.
And we love that you're here. We love you're still sticking it out for Shards and Strixhaven and Dragonlance, because we're getting real close to the peak of Dragonlance. We're getting close.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to get it because I'm going away to the States for a week at the end of September, and I was hoping to be done before then, but I don't know if we're gonna do it. I don't think so. I think it's gonna be October.
Yeah, so and I want to do it because I really like doing it, but just it's taking that taking the step back and realizing, yeah, I need to slow down and make sure that make sure I'm spreading myself in a good way. That's phrasing. Allocating my resources properly.
But yeah, so anyway, that's the scheduling updates. There's a bunch of stuff. There's also a bunch of new stuff that's coming your way. Arcos is coming back. That is Arcos is coming back Sunday next week. So that's going back into rotation. And then Planescape. What the hell is it called? Turn of the Wheel or something like that. The module for Planescape is going to be coming to Dork Tales as well. And I just finalized
Fortune's Wheel.
Turn of Fortune's Wheel. I finalized that, and then I finalized that cast, and we have an artist for that who's really good, and it's coming together. Like 4 out of 5 of the characters have been created. One of them is a little trying to figure out what the hell they are. But it's going to be good. It's going to be, hopefully the module's good. I'm hoping that it's not like Spelljammer and that we could actually like catch our breath a little, because it is a shorter module, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah, so there's lots of stuff coming your way. Don't worry, you're getting tons of content. Don't leave me.
And for all of the stuff I'm doing this fall, I've done the very rough math because I get banked overtime instead because of my contract with salary. I will probably, including the negative overtime hours I have right now, I'll probably be getting a month worth of overtime this next 2 months.
Is that with the time and a half or without?
That's nice.
That's with the time and a half.
Nice.
So that's the time and a half is a month plus my like regular vacation. So I'll have like 6 weeks of vacation coming up. So nice. I will be able to maybe do more content when I'm taking like 6 weeks off or something like that. So that'll be fun. So all this hard work will be get back to me, but it's just like
yeah. So anyway, thank you guys so much for being with us on these adventures, and for always being, by our side, and for enjoying these episodes, and for supporting, our cast and our new DMs, because it's a little nerve-wracking, I think, to be streaming your first ever real game. And I think that people like you and Jen, you haven't like done long campaigns before, to my knowledge.
No, I've always, well, the thing is my brain works in a like, hey, here's a story idea. And I go, oh, that sounds great. And my brain goes, yeah, would you like to make it a novel? Because that's all it can be. I don't write short stories. I don't write one-shots, usually. I did a little bit for Extra Life, but that's a lot easier when you're just dealing with chaos and making the audience buy things for you. Right, like that's fine. That's just improv. But yeah, like I've tried a couple of times, but I always seem to run out of steam. And I haven't with this, which I really like, aside from just suffering from this middle of the book nonsense. I still really am enjoying running the game. So
and I gotta say, as a veteran storyteller dungeon master, it never gets easier. That middle of the book thing, it's the same as writing a book.
Yeah, I mean, as a writer, as somebody who likes writing things and who has tried to write novels before, that middle of the book part gets me every time. So I'm not surprised it's gotten me here. I'm just glad that it worked out at a time when it helps us to take a break for a couple of reasons, rather than me just being like, oh yeah, I need to take a break because I'm not ready for this, and then like never coming back to it, which is not my plan. I plan to come back to it.
Yeah, no, and it's great having the stream here, because then you have people that you have to come back to, or you're going to hear about it.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely.
I think it's kind of like what a
please
writer's
bother
group...
me about it.
Okay. Hey, Robin, do you have
It's
anything
what
else you
will
want
make me
to...
do things.
anything else you want to say, Robin?
No, just thank you, Patreon, for sticking around and supporting this. This has been great, and it's been as much as I like, this is a little nerve-wracking sometimes to run this. I never would have done this. So thank you, Patreon, for making this possible. And for like the Patreon's it's like a baby version that I get to like test run being a DM to rather than like full on Twitch. So it's nice, and a month game is just perfect size for managing. So thank you, Patreon, for supporting this, and thank you for the cast. You guys are just insane, and being able to like confident in releasing you to do your own chaos is wonderful.
Thank you, Patreon, for watching this. If you'd like to join them and see content like this up to 3 months in advance, if you are watching this later, you can join the ranks of such amazing people as Jay, the maker of Monstress, who's our world-building producer, our divine producer, Jan and Bob Kessler, who are my parents, demonic producer Precarious, could not be forgotten about because Breck is wonderful. Also, our wizards of the Patreon, Tammy the Forever Cleric, the Ink Goblin, and Eddie Isaacs. And I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the High Council of the Patreon, who are hanging out in the Radiant Citadel wondering why there's not a market outside. And that is Taryn, Dustin, Cubby Gummy, Amberthist, Raven with Baubles, Karasha Urquhart, Chef Aladeth, Larouk, Sorcerer Sanguine, Mike Baxter, and Kaylin Whitebeard. They are all wonderful and amazing, and I cannot give them enough praise for keeping the lights on here. Thank you so much. To everybody else on the Patreon, thank you so much as well. And with that, I'll turn it over to Robin for final words.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. Hope you have a great night, and we will see you later for the Radiant Citadel life at the Citadel, I think is what I'll still go with for this episode's next title. But yeah, see you guys in November for the next game. Stay safe, and come tomorrow night in the chat on Twitch for episode 1 being broadcast. It'll be great to see some people support that. I'll definitely be in the chat hanging out, answering questions if anyone wants to come hang out. It'll be great. But yeah, thank you so much, guys, and we will see you later.
Good night, everybody.